So, good evening, ladies and gents. Let's see how it's all going. Looks fine, looks nice. So, we're back in business. We're looking great, looking good. As far as I can tell. So today we're trying out something new, I would say, something different. And the difference is that I had to try this before on my channel, but in Russian. And the thing is that we usually make a stream dedicated to one major topic. And we just, let's see, talk about it and play some chess in the meanwhile. So let me just boot up my second PC so I can see you well. Right, I needed hookups. So, as the first entry in this list, I would like to touch on a movie that hit hard recently. Hey there, Curly. And this is the movie Substance. And this is like one of the most talked movies recently. And first of all, let's boot the game up. Here we go. So, we have heard a lot about this. I guess if you are not living somewhere like in the Bikini Bottom, you have heard about this movie in any shape or form. The movie is quite new. I guess it's running in the theaters at the moment, starring one only Demi Moore and one other actress, pretty new and good, I would say. And the first thing I actually heard about this is the controversy that surrounded this movie. So it wasn't like your regular, oh my god, it's so bad, it's so like awful, or no, it's so epic. It came down almost to like people saying that they were like leaving the theaters or leaving like the watch of this movie, just saying it's too horrible. And this actually raised my interest because I thought, like, how bad can it possibly be? Like, you know, when someone says both things about the movie, saying that, oh my god, it's so awful, well, they just don't talk so much about it. I mean, it started already then being like, something is weird here. And now, after I've seen it, I would say that, in my opinion, it's one of the greatest PR campaigns that there has ever been in the last times. So, like, it's actually nothing more, again, in my own opinion, than just a PR campaign to get people to see this movie. And even though they may say, oh my god, this is disgusting, it's so bad, etc., etc., it's still worth seeing. the very introduction. So what's the movie's actually about? So you start with your major character played by Demi Moore, who's, I would say, a really tired actress who shifts from being like a famous, let's say, Hall of Fame worthy Hollywood star who's just too old to be in any, let's say, form or shape to continue being as popular as she was. And she is now just a regular trainer of those, fancy workout programs on your regular TV, etc. And even though she has issues, so her boss thinks she's too old, he wants to get a new one, tries to make this woman retire, etc., etc. So basically, this is the premise of the whole movie. That this actress is just too old to be relevant. And to actually suit for her, fitness coach role. And basically she gets fired, and I would say she ends up in a depression, although it's not referred as much as depression. But yeah, it is what it is. Let's put it this way. So what we end up is that she, in the end, gets in hospital due to an unfortunate turn of events, and she just gets told by a doctor hey, you're gonna be fine. And in the end, what happens is that she receives a mystery note that there is this cure which kind of clones you, and then they put it, and then you basically get a double, and this double starts to live on its own basically, and it just gets you from being this old person to a new body. You're handsome or gorgeous, and you have all these fancy. Wait, did we lose? I guess we did. Yes, this is meat. Yeah. Okay. So she has this option to try this cure out, and she does it. She takes this offer. She takes this pill, and she gets her double, who names herself Sue, and she takes basically the same job. So they fire this old actress, and this clone takes her place. And it becomes due to all the system that the movie built, they live in this codependent way I would see it. And in the end, this whole movie is about that clone slowly takes the spot of this original lady, original actress, and yeah, I wouldn't be much into the spoilers, so that's the whole premise. And why people were like so upset is that in the end they show a pretty disturbing sequence, I would name it, that they showed like a monster who kind of appeared out of like this actress, etc., etc. So it's very strange. And what's the worst part about it? So many people were like, okay, what's the harm? The harm is, in my opinion, is that with this last sequence, this horror one, they just ruined a perfect movie. And I mean, the thing is that this movie is raising a lot, really a lot, of important questions that no one actually did raise before. So, and it actually tells you a lot of the way, for example, how women are treated in the society today, how actresses are treated, how we have this perception of like young, old, who's independent, who's like, who can let go of something, and so on, so on, so on. And when you look at this from this perspective, from this angle, from this point of view, it's kind of important that you try to look at the society from the same angle as you look at this movie. Because this movie, it isn't about even satire, so it's not that funny. At least not the ending. We'll get to that. So it's not about being like funny about it. It's about showing the actual pain of, I mean, not even pain like a physical one. It's about showing you the pain in terms of mental pain, which is almost as crucial, if not even more, as a physical one. And this is where this movie is really good. So, like, I was watching it, and I was like, the author who actually wrote this is a genius. The problem begins later on. And the problem begins at the very end. Because at the point where they should have said, okay, let's stop for a while. We have a great movie. Let's wrap it up. The director, for some unknown reason, took it a step further. Before we get into this, I want to point one thing out. And this one thing is that if you think about who plays the major role here, who's the lead actress, it becomes even deeper as it could be. And of course, everyone of you knows the one and only Demi Moore. She's fantastic actress. I really love Private Jane. I adore this movie. I really think it's very good. But you also should remember that she's very close to Bruce Willis. And I want to mention him for actually a couple of reasons. Because if you look at the story of this actress, which is portrayed by Demi Moore, and then you think about like last years, I'm not talking like last few of them, but last, I would say, 10 to 15 years of life of Bruce Willis, right? It's actually, it's not the same, but you can see the analogy here. Like, being ready to jump into any sort of like opportunity, regardless how good it is, to like get this fame, to not to leave it all behind and be like, okay, I did my job, I was good at it, I can step away and just enjoy my time being a, let's say, retired person. Maybe it wouldn't even end up so bad with him. Like, maybe, I don't know if you have seen, let's say, last Die Hard movies. Let's be real, we could actually live without them and be as much respectful to Bruce Willis as we are. Right? By the way, we have a good call out. Let's play a while. And in the end, what did we get? We get actually the situation when Bruce Willis is just destroyed by his last, I know, years, right? And it's nothing like, I'd say you cannot blame him for that. I realize it, but in the same time, he actually could have been saved in some form. So if people would not chase for money as much as they did, perhaps he would be like way more better in terms of health as he is nowadays, right? And I mean, it's not about to blame something. It's not about to put someone's like interest on top. It's more about that sometimes, as I said, you need to know when to put a point and to end the sentence and keep on going. And you can say, oh, he's a grown man and he knows what's better for him, and probably you're totally right. But it's also about people around him. So maybe someone else should do this. Maybe someone else should step up and say, it's enough. Also, what is also a very nice analogy, which could be seen in this movie, is, let's say, let's play on words a bit. A very good thing to think about is the analogy with, as the name intends, substance abuse. Because when you see the movie, you will see that the way it's portrayed is that you have this host body, you have this host which is played by Demi Moore, as I told you before, and you have this young lady which is played by this new actress, right? And at this point, what you need to know about the movie is that they are codependent. So, as you know, as this usual thing, one cannot live without the other, etc., etc. However, what you also need to know is that how the whole premise starts is that they both have a limited time to, let's say, be themselves. So that if you are the host or if you are the replacement, it does not matter. You need to swap every now and then. And there's a very straightforward limit. If I recall correctly, it's 7 days. So every 7 days, they swap places. And the trick is that with time, how the story progresses is that this replacement lady starts to take more and more time from this host. And this is actually when they start to have this problem, that the host is like getting older and she's like almost losing her life energy because of this replacement woman. And actually, it's a very interesting idea how they put it down, because if you think about it, this is also kinda like other substances do. So they take you kinda away from yourself, right? And and the way they portrayed it, it was very interesting. They actually made it possible that to show them that, okay, you are now at this state, right? And in like a second, in a minute or so, you'll get taken over by this other reality, other personality, and now put it as you wish. So you just are getting taken over. And the way they showed it was very nice. So that they just could show you how bad it actually gets. How they struggle because of it. And so on and so on and so on. So basically you get shown that you are like, wait a second, let's go here, yeah, we're almost losing, but maybe we can, wait. Oh, it's 3 minutes. Again, sorry, slight misconception. Let's play a new game with the 15 and 10. So, as I said, and the movie shows exactly the same. It shows exactly how the way you want to view yourself due to something that changes your perspective, that changes your, let's say, point of view, that changes your appearance. I can go on and on and on. Slowly but surely takes you over. And I'm pretty sure that not so many people who actually watch the movie Substance have thought about it in the same manner. So for them, even though we'll get to the whole fashion world, showing stuff, etc., we'll get to this in a second. But the way to put them as the problem with illegal stuff, there's actually a very interesting way to look at this motion picture. And it actually doesn't hit you when you watch it, not when you watch it the first time. I have watched it obviously only once. However, it strikes you maybe in 10 minutes afterwards. You watch the movie, you have your thoughts, you have everything, and then you still start to analyze it. You start to go, wait a second. Maybe, just maybe, they wanted to tell us this. Maybe they wanted to tell us that. And you start to kind of unwrap this motion picture that something, what else is there? And this is actually worth it, because it's much more to unravel as the rest. And as I said, then obviously we got a perfect satire of the fashion industry in general. And that's also very important that they show us that, hey, in the fashion industry, they're treating people as a garbage. That they treat women as a garbage. that they treat, I know, like everyone else just based on their bodies, etc., etc. And of course, it's first of all, it's just awful. Yeah, especially like I can relate, although of course I'm not in the fashion industry, thank God, right? But if you look at this from like any type of perspective, actually, you can always say that in some way or form, you are always a bit like dependent on that, right? So you can still say that, for example, like people who have disability, that they are treated otherwise. And in this case, it's not about disability, it's just about age. That regardless how good you are in any type of activity, especially in the like fashion industry, with time it goes away. And the real question is, what's gonna happen with you next, right? So think about that. The way they even let the main character go is already awful. So they just, they almost throw her out like used, I don't know, like a broken car. They just leave her at the side and just say, okay, we have no more use of you. And the list of this goes on and on and on. And while it's, someone can say that, hey, it's kind of normal if you think about it. It's, of course, it cannot be in the, let's say, fashion industry like forever, but the way you treat people can indeed change, right? And that's where they start to have issues. And that's also how it's shown in the movie, that they just don't need her anymore. And the only way that this actress that is portrayed by Demi Moore can be still relevant is to go through these changes. Even if it harms her, even if it's bad for her in any shape or form, there's nothing else she can actually, even though I could say it, there's nothing else she can give to this market. And in the end, everything of this is a market. Even though you may not like it, it doesn't change the fact, right? And this is a very, very beautifully portrayed by the script of The Substance. Regardless how you look at this movie, regardless which, let's put it this way, regardless what you treat as the substance in this movie, I think that's the best way to put it. Regardless what you actually think this mystical substance is, which is portrayed in this green, like, liquid they show in this capsule. Regardless of that, the thing they actually need to show here is what it's doing to the people. And as I said, I really like how it's portrayed. Now, after all this being said and done, we need to go to the ending. And oh boy, this was one hell of an ending. I actually don't know where to start because it's just so surreal. It's like, let's put it this way. Ending of this movie makes no sense. It makes sense only because it's one is so, as I said before, if its goal is to show that they're like, if someone does the limits, as even then, it's messed up. And when I watched it, I thought, I actually from time to time, let me put the lights on to see my face a bit better. Here we go. So when I watched it the first time, I was like, every now and then, I was opening up my player, and I was like, okay, now it's gonna start. Now it's gonna, like, now the stuff will hit the fan. Let's go, let's see what the noise is all about. And then it started, and oh my god. You know, it wasn't even nasty. I can tell you one thing, I laughed my back off. I laughed my butt off. I laughed all my body off the scenes. And, you know, there is this saying that something is so bad, it's actually hilarious. And this is the best way to describe it. It's so bad that it's just hilarious to watch it. I'm telling you, I have no other explanation. I don't want to know what type of substance, pun intended, the actual screenwriters were using, because that made no sense. Even, like, not even it made no sense, that would be not, it wouldn't be the worst part. Trust me. It made no sense. Okay. The problem is that not only made no sense, it actually hurt a brilliant movie. And this is what I cannot even start to, like, feel bad about. Because this is, how to say it? When, after, let's see, 2 months, when everyone who wanted will watch this movie, right? In 2 months, if you go and ask 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, I don't know, from those who watched the movie, right? And you go to them and you ask, hey, what do you actually remember about the movie Substance? Like, is there anything that actually made you, like, remember this movie, right? I can bet you any amount of money that 99% of people will say, oh, wait, isn't that this movie where they got this very awful ending, right? Oh, this, yes, I remember. That's it. That's all they will have to say. And trust me, I'm pretty sure you think the same. And that's awful. Because this movie actually has so much more to give. It has so much more to show to the people that, for me, just a crime at this point. No, for real. It's almost like, I don't know, if you imagine if you just, I know you would, what can I say? Imagine something like Titanic, right? When they had this whole sequence with Jack and with, like, when he drowns, etc., right? And in the end, they show that, yeah, she got back with his, like, her old guy, and they were, like, she didn't care about Jack anymore. Like, yeah, he was nothing to me. And all this movie is just has no more relevance whatsoever. Imagine that. Could you? No, for real. That's all there is. Absolutely. And you will not remember the movie Substance as a movie that actually raises a hell a lot of questions about the right things. You will not remember the movie Substance as a movie which is actually one of the most, how should I put it? You will not remember it as a movie which actually shows how awful the fashion industry is. You will not remember it as something that shows how bad they treat women in this industry. And I can go on and on and on. I can make the list of questions which you will stop caring about immediately after you start to watch the ending for like hours. is here. Why? Why did they decide at some point, and they did decide it at some point, that this is the way to go? I have no idea. I wish I would have an idea, but I have no idea. Like, people, why? Yeah, you had one job, and the job wasn't that hard to do, because the script you had was amazing. The authors which you found were amazing. I can go on and on and on. But you decided that it would be a great idea, right? To just say, okay, we don't care. We'll just have a monstrosity on the screen, and everyone will talk about it. Why? And you know what's the funniest thing about this? Many times in our life, we are used to ask questions. And at this point, I want to ask only one question. Please, someone enlighten me, right? So, you have the script, you have movie to make, you have, I would say, even army, a real army of producers, filmmakers, operators, sorry, not operators, it's called, my God, I forgot the word. Basically, the guys, cameraman, let's put it this way. You have actually a huge amount of people who worked at this process, right? It wasn't one person who did this. It's a multi-million budget film. So it's massive. And you want to tell me that in this whole massive amount of people, not a single one, not a single person stood up and said, guys, I think I should. Sorry for my English. Not a single one stood up and said, well, this is BS. For real? Seriously? Not a person? How? Just how? And I can get, for example, the idea of, let's say Demi Moore. Demi Moore gave this movie one of her best performances ever. I have no right to blame her for nothing. Absolutely. But, again, people, you have seen the movie. You have seen the final edit. You have watched, I hope, till the end. And you want to tell me that not a single person stood up and said, sorry, this is garbage. For those of you who follow the hip hop industry, like let's take a similar situation from 1 year ago, was it? With Melle Mel. Again, Melle Mel is legend. He is an icon in hip hop. But we all know that that particular diss was a garbage. Everyone knows that. And not a single person who was associated with this record told him that. Like, dude, maybe you should not release it for your own sake. Same here. I cannot tell how in the mind of someone, let's put this, how happened that in no one's mind a thought popped that, hey guys, this is wrong. This is very wrong, and it shouldn't be like this. No. The movie was signed, sealed, and delivered to the theaters. And as I said before, the worst, absolutely worst thing about it is that no one will care about the real, not the real plot, the real idea behind the movie substance. No one will remember it as a movie that showed you all the dark, gruesome problems that are in the industry of the fashion. No one will tell them that people, it shouldn't be so. All they will talk about till the end will be this ending. And I can tell you for sure that breaks my heart at some point. Because the idea behind it, I will keep repeating it. I can, you know what? I will go even further. I will go so far to tell that, in my opinion, many of, if not everyone, should go and watch this movie. As long as, and this is where it gets ugly, as long as you just either leave 20 minutes before it ends. That's option one. Or there is a very nice option two which I preferred. And my option two was that I left the living F out of the last minutes. I couldn't. I thought this is one of the best comedy sequences I've seen in my life. Okay, exaggerating, not life. Yeah, there's always scary movie, for example. But this was, for me, it was hilarious. And like especially it's hilarious when you read the articles which says, oh, people went away from theaters in disgust of this movie. Oh my goodness, it's so bad. Like, people wanted to throw up. Give me a break, people. I don't believe a single word that this report say. Because it just makes no sense. Because even though the last sequences were, I will put them unpleasant, right? Unpleasant. There's nothing that bad. For real, it's not that bad when you actually think about it. It's laughable. And when I read those comments that, oh my god, it's so bad, it's like, come on. Yet again, they will talk only about this. And this is what's actually bad. This is what people shouldn't do. People should just treat such movies right. They should treat them as, I know, something that they should how to say, that they should like be not even inspired by. It's not about inspiration of any sort. It's about being a person who asks correct questions. It's about being a person who's ready to ask maybe not the prettiest questions. It's about being a person who wants to know what's wrong with society that such movies, and again, I'm speaking only about the first movie. Why do these movies exist? And this is a very important question. This is a question which should be asked. This is a question which not only should, it needs to be asked. Here, now, today. Because we live in a world where, unfortunately, this became too important. It's important for people to be in the fashion. It's important for them to be labeled. It's important for people to be measured by standards. It's important for them to fit in of, let's say, in these rules, standards. You put it as you wish. And when you don't, you become an outcast. You become a person who's not good enough for them. You see? And that's the worst thing there is. That's where the problems actually start. That people treat themselves in the way that they almost sacrifice themselves for the sake of fitting in. And that's exactly what is shown in this movie. And not only does it show how they should fit in, it shows you which price needs to be paid for that. It shows you what. I guess we have another link. Okay, let's go here. Yep. Let me see. Yeah, we have a bit of spam here. Sorry about that, but you shouldn't see it. Do you? No, you don't. Okay. So, here, let's see. So, as I was saying, that's the biggest issue there is. The biggest issue is that they don't care enough. It's a bit weirdly sad, but unfortunately it is what it is. And in my opinion, to wrap it up, and I guess we will restart the stream so that this section goes to YouTube as a fixed video, in order to wrap up the thoughts on the movie called The Substance. Substance movie is one of the best movies that raised great questions here and now. This movie is one of those movies which actually should exist. It's one of those movies which needs to be made more. Today, someone later on, this is the type of movie that our society needs right now. And I want to actually, on one side, say thank you for whoever made this movie. It was actually brave to do so. But I cannot really imagine why should you put it like this in the end. I cannot tell you why should you flush such a beautiful idea in the toilet. And that's what they did. Unfortunately, you can argue however you like. You can tell me no, the idea behind it is genius. And you can tell me that they did everything correctly. No, they didn't. The last 10 minutes or 15 minutes just destroyed the legacy this movie could have had. That's a good way to finish this sequence. I want people to make more such movies. I want people to actually treat such topics better. I want people to not be afraid to ask questions that were asked in this movie. And maybe one last thought I have in this, if I can check on my notes, is that you can treat it as a satire. You can dig in and search for several different meanings behind this movie. You can do whatever you like. As long as the movie keeps you thinking and keeps you analyzing the world that's around you, it makes the time you spend on watching the movie actually worth it. So, as I said, watch it. If you are like in a good mood, watch the ending. Trust me, it's funny. Just separate it in your brain as a different movie. Let's just say you have a movie and you have like bloopers in the end. Treat it this way. It's the best way to treat the ending of the movie substance. And think about what's worth in your life. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video.